Hi, I'm John DeVore. Welcome to the channel. Good morning. It's Monday morning while I'm shooting this, and I do intend to get the video out today. So happy Monday, everyone. I'm tired. Tomorrow I'm off to Munich, Munchen. The big HiFi show is coming up in this next weekend, and while I'm not going to be an exhibitor there, I am going to go and meet up with lots of friends and meet with my international distributors. Only place I get to see many of them. Looking forward to that. And but I did want to do a video before I left. And the video is this one. So actually, a few months ago, I did a video describing how I digitize the 78s of Rachmaninoff playing his own music. Rachmaninoff was a composer in the beginning of the 20th century and was also a magnificent pianist, a superstar. And there was a project that I was asked to participate in. I was honored to participate in, and digitizing those 78s was part of that. And now I can talk about it because that project is released. The project is Now Hear This, which is it's a PBS show, and it focuses on classical music. Each segment of Now Hear This focuses on a different composer, and it does sort of a deep dive on some aspect of that composer's life, and it's really well done. Beautiful production values and really good content. Excellent performances, like real musicians. The host, Scott Yu, is a fantastic violinist and is also a music director of a major symphony orchestra. And the showrunner of that, Harry Lynch, is actually an owner of DeVore Fidelity speakers. So he reached out to me and asked if they could shoot a part of that segment here in Monkey House in my office, listening to 78s of Rachmaninoff playing his own music. And that worked out, and it was super fun, and it was amazing. Super honored. I will put a link to that episode down below. And thank you again to Harry and to Scott for their generosity and just how cool it was to be asked to participate in something like that. Support PBS, guys. Support PBS. PBS is not a nefarious. They don't have an agenda. They're educating people about classical music. They're educating your kids via Sesame Street. They don't have an agenda. Support PBS. Don't let them take it out. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. Thinking about what I was going to say to Scott in my little part of that segment. One of the things, so in 2023, I saw what I believe is going to be, until the end of my days, the pinnacle of my concert-going experiences. And this was 2023 in Carnegie Hall. It was Yuja Wong playing all 5 of Rachmaninoff's piano and symphony pieces. So it's concertos 1 through 4, and it is the Rhapsody on a Theme by Paganini. And all 5 of those, the 4 concertos, are massive, monstrous works, very challenging for any pianist to master and to play well. And Yuja Wong did all 5 of them in one concert. So it was a 4 something hour extravaganza, and it was truly, truly the most incredible concert experience I've ever seen. And I have seen some amazing concerts. So one of the things that I actually mentioned to Scott Yu in that segment that didn't make the cut, understandably, was that so Rachmaninoff was a superstar. He was a legendary performer of his time. And that was part of why he wrote these really difficult to play, masterfully complex piano concertos. They were showpieces, to some extent, for him. and he played to sold out audiences all over the world. He was an actual superstar. And I mentioned to Scott during the segment that I thought that sort of Yuja Wong was kind of the Rachmaninoff of our time. For me, that concert, that concert that I saw, put daylight between her and all other living musicians, and that's not to cast shade to any other musicians. There are more virtuistic and magnificent and expressive and national treasure musicians out there than I can count. And I go see them whenever I can. I go see them live. It's a treat. But this performance was otherworldly, truly otherworldly. And she did an encore at the end of it. But what it really also got me thinking about was the contrast. Listening to those 78s of Rachmaninoff playing, recorded in the 1930s, it's not a hi-fi experience. There aren't very many hi-fi aspects to the playback of a 78 RPM shellac disc recorded in the 1930s. The technology hadn't advanced far enough to give us sort of audiophile cues, things like that. And yet those performances are riveting. When you hear them played back well, they're incredible, and you're following the great master. You're following Rachmaninoff's performances, and you're riveted. What that got me thinking about was this sort of weird relationship that some in the audiophile community have between the recorded music playback event and the original or the concert live event. This whole live versus Memorex fallacy. And to me, it's a fallacy. For me, the two experiences are too different to ever converge. And what we don't necessarily want them to converge. There are some live music experiences that are unpleasant intentionally, or that are very lo-fi, and yet you are swept away by the music. Lots of concert halls or concert venues are horrible, shitty sounding, but are yet incredible places to see live music. I've seen Roger Waters / Pink Floyd play, and a huge part of that experience is these gigantic sort of dirigible drones floating around in the arena, in the auditorium in Madison Square Garden. Or I've seen a band like Boris play, where it was actually painful. They play so loud that it was actually painful to be in. And no matter how far in I pressed my earplugs, it hurt, and I had to make my way farther away from that performance. But it was an amazing experience, nevertheless. And this other sort of element of what is it that makes a musical experience deep? What made me experiencing Yuja Wong live in Carnegie Hall was not the fidelity of the performance. It wasn't the articulation of the strings and the nuance of the woodwinds, and it wasn't the being able to hear the pedals of the Steinway creaking or anything like that. What it was the power. It was the anticipation. It was the breathlessness. It was the stress of wondering, is she going to be able to pull this off? It was the awe of the overwhelming experience. That is what made that musical experience magnificent and absolute and memorable forever to me. And those are not the same things that make memorable and absolute hi-fi experiences incredible or unique. It's not the same thing. What we are chasing in the recorded music playback sphere should not be the same as what we are chasing in the live music experience. And I've talked about this a little bit before, but it's also, sometimes you're driving in your 1978 Volkswagen Scirocco, and the only thing you have to listen to on your road trip is a worn out cassette of the Chicago Transit Authority. And maybe that's the absolute perfect thing, even though the fidelity is incredibly low. Or another thing that I've been digitizing recently, and I've talked about this in another video, is I've been digitizing live to cassette. I've been digitizing these cassettes of my mom playing chamber music. And I've been running those into the computer in order to sort of archive them, make them available to the rest of my family or some of the musicians that were playing on those cassettes. And that's an incredible experience. And the playback of those cassettes, while they are absolutely lo-fi, they are not high fidelity recordings, they're an incredible experience. To me, for sure, because I have this vested interest in the performance and the performers. It's my mom. It's a way for me to connect with my mom, who's no longer with us now for at least for 12 years now. She passed away, but it's this ability to bring her back in this way and this just relive this gift of music that she left behind, and that experience is very different from an audiophile experience in every way, and yet it's an incredibly emotional and very direct experience and very memorable. It's a very memorable music playback experience. And so this weird sort of pursuit of thinking of the, what was it, Harry Pearson, I guess. It was like the absolute sound is the sound of acoustic instruments in a real space. Well, yes, but then, of course, when Absolute Sound decided to release music, it was electronic music, which never was an acoustic instrument and never was in a live space. I had a great concert experience watching Kieran Hebden play, and he was literally tapping keys on a MacBook, and it was a great experience. The music was awesome, and it was great energy in there, but there was no acoustic instruments. There was no live room experience. It was at La Poisson Rouge, and it was great, but had nothing to do with the absolute sound. So that was it. That's what's been on my mind over the last couple of weeks. I will try to send some video from Munich. Maybe, I'm not sure. I feel kind of funny about doing video of other people's hi-fi systems. I definitely, there are real conflicts of interest in a lot of hi-fi YouTube media. There's other manufacturers shit-talking other manufacturers' rooms at hi-fi shows, which that just smells bad from the get-go. Or there's hi-fi reviewers who are actually also selling the stuff that they're reviewing. So there's a lot of funky stuff. So I have to figure out if I may or may not do videos from Munich. But if I do, they will really just sort of be the experience of walking around, maybe running into a few of my friends, something like that. I got to figure out a way to make it so that it doesn't feel nasty to me. But if not, I will see you when I get back in a week or so. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you at the next video. Bye.